The attention in Ukraine is because of white Christians? What the I really don't understand why this woman is still on TV. I mean, she's probably one of the biggest racist people I know that's literally on TV. Her, Don Lemon, and the rest of these race baiters that are literally invested in keeping us separated and divided in this country. With the things that they spew out of their mouth, I don't know how they live with themselves. This woman's entire career is predicated on being a bigot on TV. I mean, she literally cannot see past that cloak of seeing everything as white and black. I don't understand it, man. She's in the news again saying that the reason the world has all this attention on Ukraine right now is because there's white people and they're Christians. I mean, how low blow can you go? This is the same woman that claimed that the missing white girl, Gabby Petito, was a missing white woman syndrome. Do y'all remember that? You don't remember? I'll play it for you just so we can get recap.
But the way this story has captivated the nation has many wondering, why not the same media attention when people of color go missing? Well, the answer actually has a name: missing white woman syndrome.
There you go. So she's consistent with what she does. I'll give her that. She's very consistent. But, you know, she goes on to challenge and say the Western media, we have some soul searching, and why do certain people get media coverage over others? And as you see, she did the same thing with the missing girl, Gabby Petito, as she's doing now with Ukraine. So I'm going to play the video, but before I go into it, you know, there's a lot of different things we got to unpackage here, right, when it comes to this Ukraine situation versus other things that are taking place in the country. So let me play the video so you guys can be up to par, and then we're going to break it down.
Okay, let's face it. The world is paying attention because this is happening in Europe. If this was happening anywhere else, would we see the same outpouring of support and compassion?
All right, let me stop it right there. The reason why this gets so much attention, the Ukraine situation is getting so much attention, because a lot of the other stuff that's taking place around the world, for one, it's about resources. Two, a lot of the other stuff, the conflicts and things that are taking place in the world, in these other countries, a lot of them are not, they don't have a president or a leader saying that if anybody intervenes, it's literally going to be something that no one has ever seen before. They're not threatening people with nuclear, allegedly threatening people with nuclear warheads, right? So we have to understand the difference here, Reid, Joyless Reid.
Well, we don't need to ask ourselves if the international response would be the same if Russia unleashed their horror on a country that wasn't white and largely Christian. Because Russia has already done it in Syria. This is a teachable moment for us in the media. We aren't afraid to call out our own industry. There is a lot of soul searching that we need to do in Western media about why some wars and lives seem to matter more than others, and why some refugees get the welcome mat.
So there you have it. All right, so we're going to unpackage it. So for one, there's a lot of conflicts and things going on all around the world in different countries. The reason why this one has gotten so much media attention is not because of white people and Christians. It's not because it's in a Europe country compared to other countries, right? I don't even know what this woman is talking about. It's so much misinformation. So for one, that is not the reason why it has so much media coverage. The reason why it has so much media coverage is allegedly the person that sits in the presidential seat right now, his family and including himself, they have made so many corruption deals in Ukraine. They have money and businesses going in Ukraine. That's for one. For two, the conflict with Russia and Putin, we don't know what's going on. There's so much misinformation being pushed around and propaganda pushed around on our media. We don't know what to believe. But one thing that we do know is Russia has nuclear weapons, and it doesn't have any of the other conflicts don't have the possibility to spin us into a World War III, fool. Those are the facts. So I don't know where she's getting this race baiting and why she has to pull the race card on every single thing that she does. But secondly, she says that the Western media has some soul searching to do. Well, Joy Reid, did it ever occur to you, since you're so romantically passionate about being a social justice warrior and being in love with black, why don't you cover it? Because that same soul searching Western media that you're talking about, you work for them. You have a platform. You have a voice that you can easily shed light on these things. So why don't you talk about it? and versus doing little quick 30-second clips of race baiting. Why don't you cover it? Because you obviously are in a position where you're able to do that. Secondly, when we talk about soul searching and challenging our media, I'm challenging you, Joy Reid. I'm challenging you. You say that you make it as if it's only because it's white people and Christians that get the media attention like that. That's not true. I believe it was for 2 whole years, our country, right? Literally, if I played the rest of the video, she showed, people complaining about what's going on over there in Europe and people's dying and we should be fighting for their lives. This is not right. We're more of a civilized country, yada, yada, yada. Well, Joy Reid and everybody that's watching and listening did it for the past 2 years. Our media, Western media, didn't they cover Black Lives Matter? We literally watched everybody glorify a crackhead, someone that overdosed on fentanyl. We literally watched massive media coverage with Black Lives Matter. So I don't understand where your selective outrage is coming from. Did you have amnesia and forget so quickly all the media coverage that Black Lives Matter had around George Floyd? The crackhead? Yeah. The one that got a gold casket, the whole world watched. The whole world watched black, brown, and white liberals, Antifa, and Black Lives Matter literally protest and riot and burn and terrorize our entire country. They've inflicted billions of dollars of damage. They've assaulted innocent lives. They've actually taken lives. We watched it. You had 2 years of straight media coverage. So I'm not sure where you're getting the selective outrage. Make it make sense, because it's not making sense to me. It ain't making no sense to me whatsoever. So, this is my issue with these people. She's so passionate of making it all about race and focusing on these other things that's taking place in other countries. But we got a war going on right now in the United States, Joy Reid. Why don't you cover and shed light on that? I'm asking you to do some soul searching. Since you're so fixated on what white folks are doing and race baiting and doing things that will divide us in this country, I want to challenge you to do some soul searching. You're on a platform. You're on MSNBC. Why don't you cover the war that's going on in many cities on black men across America? Why don't you cover what's going on in Chicago or LA or DC, Baltimore, New York, St. Louis? I mean, I could go on, New Orleans. Why don't you cover the war on black folks, right? Let's take the focus off white folks for a second. Let's talk about the war on black folks. Let's talk about that war on me as a black man. Why don't you cover and give the facts and shed light on things that black folks need to change? Since you're gaslighting, you want to gaslight and say it's because of white folks and Christians, I'm on gaslight. Why don't you shed light on black folks? The war on black men in this country, black men and teenagers in this country. Why don't you shed light, since you want to do everything white and black, why don't you shed light on the fact that the number one preventable cause of death for white men and teenage boys is an accident? Boating accidents, car accidents. And why don't you shed light that the number one preventable cause of death for black men and teenage boys is homicide? And must I add that the homicide is by the hands of another black person? Why don't you shed light on that war? Why don't you do some soul searching? Why don't you talk about those things? Why don't you talk about Chicago, murder per capita for the country in regards to absolute numbers? In Chicago, it's a third black, a third white, and a third Hispanic. 70% of the homicides are done by black folks, and almost 75% of them are unsolved. Why don't you talk about that war? The war on black folks, the war on the people that you're so passionately in love with. The reason why you claim to be a social justice warrior. Oh, I could tell you why you're not talking about that. The reason why you're not talking about it is because you got a selective outrage. You got anger, hatred, and resentment towards white folks. You haven't learned to forgive. And I bet you, if we dig deep, you were brought up Christian. I bet you were brought up Christian. So when you're on TV spewing this stuff, going against your own values, as how you were raised as being a Christian, I'm almost guessing I'm right. You were brought up Christian, because most black folks are. Look, y'all, Once again, Joy Reid does what she does, man. This whole Ukraine conflict and things that's taking place with Russia, we don't even know what's really going on over there. There's so much misinformation and propaganda going on in our media, we don't even know. And the fact that she wants to pull the race card is just sad, man. It just shows she shouldn't be on the air. She's one of the people that are invested in keeping us divided. The fact that she would compare and say the reason why they get attention is because they're white and they're Christian is just sad. Let alone just forget that it possibly can be a World War III with this particular conflict, that there's a lot of people that have vested interest in this, like the person that you're so romantically in love and voted for and put them into the office, Joe Biden, with all the businesses and things that they got going on, with all the hypocrisies of, our gas is high because of Putin. The gas is high because of Russia. So we see the narrative spinning, man. So I'm not going to talk long on this. I'm going to end it now, man. You guys get the point. Put in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on this old joyless Reid. I thank y'all for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Hit that notification bell, man. Your boy is out, man. Peace.
Yeah, oi.